Hey guys, it's Tuesday morning's devotional, again from the bushveld. It's beautiful here. Wonderful just to be able to connect with you today. Listen, we're talking about the issue of giants in our lives, anything that stands in the way of the will of God. And one of the greatest giants that we all have to fear, especially in today's age, is the giant of fear. Now, there was a guy by the name of Saph, who was a giant in the Old Testament in 2 Samuel 21. And he was one of the giants that David had to contend with. Fascinating study this. His name means fear. So let's talk a little bit more about understanding, first of all, this thing called fear. We said a few things yesterday, but I want to add a few thoughts to those. You know, this fear thing comes under a couple of different names, maybe we could call it. First of all, fear is like a bully. A bully. You know, a bully is just an intimidating person. Somebody comes in and appears to be something that maybe he's not, and yet we are fearful of him or her. A circumstance that will come upon us, a situation in our lives where we look to ourselves and we think, man, this is just bigger than me. It intimidates you. That's what fear does. You know, many of the things that we fear, we said yesterday, don't happen. But even some of the things that we think may happen are possibilities. You know, people, listen, anything is possible. It is possible for anything bad to happen to you. But the possibility is one thing, but the probability is another. Let's live our lives maybe according to probabilities and not possibilities. It's possible that you could have an accident. It's possible that your husband could have an affair. It's possible that there could be 1,000. You could go bankrupt. You could have different challenges. It's possible that you could get deadly ill. But you know what? Let's weigh up possibilities against probabilities, and you immediately cut your worry load by maybe 80%. Would that be right to say? So let's do that. First of all, it's just a bully. The second thing about this picture of fear is that fear is like a shadow. Remember, we spoke about the valley of the shadow of death. One of the greatest fears we have, the ultimate fear, is the fear of death. But according to Psalm 23, it's just a shadow of death. It's not it's not death that we fear. Death is just the shadow of death. A shadow is something there that's one moment, and then it's gone. It changes, it shifts. And yet we live our lives according to the fearfulness of these shadow things. I can remember as a kid being afraid of the shadows outside my window at night, only to wake up in the morning to find out it was just a shadow. And a shadow has no way of hurting you unless you let it. And so we look then at that. I think here's another one that I would suggest. Fear is like a parasite. You know what a parasite is? A parasite is something that finds a host in order to feed off it. It lives off somebody. It feeds off somebody or something. I got to tell you, people, fear is a great parasite. It will suck you dry if you allow it to. It's an incredible parasite. And so we come into this context today of God saying, fear not. He said 365 times, a command is given, fear not. God is adamant that you should not fear for two reasons. The first fear is that fear is not good for you. Fear is bad for your health. Fear is bad for your relationships. Fear is bad for your psychology and your philosophy of life. Fear is bad for you physically. There are many counseling rooms and doctors' rooms full of people today living with the symptoms and the effect of fear in their lives. That's why God says, do not fear, because he knows that fear is not good for you. The second thing that God means when he says that fear, do not fear, is simply because it's not good for his glory either. We're not wimps, people. We're not people who run around hiding from certain things. And as believers today, we should be known for our boldness in circumstances, our confidence, our positive attitudes. We should be known for those things. We do not live by fear, people. We do not live by. And so God's glory is dependent upon you living by faith and not fear. You see, faith and fear cannot be in the same mix. They are incompatible. They're like oil and water. They cannot mix. And when faith is one thing, fear is another thing. The two will never see eye to eye. The two can never share the same boat. Remember when Peter got out of the boat and he walked on water? He had to leave the fear that was riddling the other disciples to walk on water by faith. And even though he may not have made it to the end, but man, Jesus applauded his faith. But when Jesus reached down into the water to lift Peter out after he had taken his eyes off Jesus, Jesus said to him, "Well done. That is a good thing that you did. But why was your faith so weak? Your fear overruled your faith." And we see that Peter's faith was so strong, it got him out of the boat. But when he saw the challenges and the wind and the waves and the lightning all around him, his fear suddenly came upon him and his faith left. Fear and faith, completely incompatible. You either live by fear or you live by faith. You need to choose. We'll talk some more about this tomorrow. But have a great day, people. Let's make a good choice, okay? Bye.